Hello and welcome to this week's Dicebreaker podcast. A little bit later than we expected, but it's fine. We're here. We're ready to chat about board games. Lolies, please tell me it's live this time.
It's really hard to count with your fingers when you're also trying to press buttons. I was like, 5.
Oh no!
Just having to start. Yeah, counting silently, not great to for an audio podcast, but we're here. I'm Matt Jarvis. I'm joined this week by 3 of the team. We're here, finally. We of course, have Liv Kennedy.
Hello, that's
How
me.
you doing?
I'm doing all right, thank you. Yeah. How are you?
Great. Yeah, all right now. Yeah, getting through it. It's just one of those things. Alex Lolies, squishing out tech bugs left, right, and centre.
hello, it's me, and I'd like to make it clear that this was all Wheels' fault. So
I will take partial blame. I was there too.
Yes, it was some people decided to do a live stream in the studio and didn't press end stream. Anyway, thanks for having me.
Look, it's one of those things. We're getting used to going back to the studio. Like these things will happen. Like we got there in the end. It's all good. Of course, rounding out the team this week, Alex Meehan. How are you?
Not very good. My PC is going to explode in approximately 5 seconds.
Oh god.
So,
From one tech issue to the next.
yeah, I might have to leave and come back.
We
God.
love to keep the audience on their toes and also us.
The stress is real, but it's great.
Yeah. Look,
I'm hyped.
this is valuable behind the scenes of it looks so smooth and polished all of the time that you don't see everything on fire seconds before we hit go.
Yeah,
This
This
is
is
fine.
a little peak.
I mean,
Yeah,
this
exactly.
PC has been on fire for like the past 3 months, so it's just a steady
Climb.
burning.
This PC is on fire.
I was trying to, yeah, my thoughts
Why
exactly
did you
that.
say it like that?
But I may legitimately have to actually leave and come back because it's not enjoying itself.
That's
yeah.
okay.
I think you might break a frame or something like that, but yeah, there we go. It's
Well,
fine.
yeah.
Look, it's the day
Don't
of
worry about
breaking things.
Right. Give me 2 seconds.
All right.
This is just asking to mean you're going to go and then not return. It's going to be like that. I'm going outside for a while and then just you're gone.
Yeah,
This is
being
what
taken
happens
round
when
the
we-
back.
This is what happens when we decide to do the podcast live.
Yeah, we were like, oh, the audience will be the audience really fun. We like having them there, great. And then, of course, doing things live means that we can't edit out all the bits where everything breaks every 5 minutes.
Right.
All right.
BRB.
Yeah, me and I'm filling for this, by the way. Yeah,
Oh
there
God,
we
there's
go.
2 of me now.
Oh,
Hey.
Oh,
oh, yeah.
Two.
We're entering the Lolies dimension.
Oh
Whoa.
my goodness. I'm surprised that that's
Oh, hold on,
so
hold
distracted
on.
by that. Oh,
Wait, Lolies, you've got to keep talking. This is an audio podcast,
wait,
Lolies.
it's a cat cam,
Oh,
maybe
there's a
potential
cat cam. There's a
Cat
double
cam.
cat cam.
For those at home,
Aw.
Lolies
Hey,
is holding
honey.
honey.
Yeah.
Her cat, obviously.
Mhm.
Not just a big old jar of honey like we do.
Delicious.
I don't know where Mian's gone. Mian has not returned within seconds, and so immediately my thoughts turn to the worst. She's been obliterated from the internet.
Turned to dust by
Yeah.
the PC.
I mean, if the internet was going to turn us to dust, it would have done it a long time ago, I think. I've been on Twitter. All right, well, while we're waiting for Mian, let's just get this ball rolling. Let's kick off, as we always do, with what we've been up to this week.
The bingo call, you mean?
Oh, the
I'm so
bingo
glad you
call.
asked
Oh, I'm
that.
so
I'm so
sorry.
glad
This
you
is this is episode 63, which of course means Lolies. It's time for a bingo call.
63, tickle me.
Mm,
So weird.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah, I'm tickled. Yeah. Great.
Yeah, it's an odd one, but it's literally just for the rhyme. The explanation is a simple rhyme. I don't know if you did 62. I'm gonna assume not because
Probably not, no.
because I mean you
I think
forgot about this one.
Yeah.
But 62 actually has 3 different calls.
Oh.
The third one is my favorite, but it goes 62 turn of the screw, 62
Okay.
to Waterloo, or 62 tickety boo.
Yes, chickadee boo.
Tickety Boo works.
All the way. Yeah.
Which I
Turn of
like
the
a lot.
Screw is just an odd one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Turn of the Screws, a book by Henry James about
Yeah.
demonically possessed children.
Oh, good.
Yeah, we got the. If anyone has never watched The Innocents is a very good film version of it.
Dark.
Genuinely
Yeah.
spooky.
Karate Kitty says, "Is Alex Meehan gone today?" Just for a moment.
There's two
Yeah,
of me.
a very
I'm
long
gonna be
moment, but-
Alex. I'm gonna be both Alexes at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh god.
Something about David Bowie and goblins. That's the other Alex Meehan.
Delivered
That's
in the
other
classic Alex Meehan, yes, delivery, perfect.
We keep making doing impressions of Meehan. Yesterday in the stream, no one tell it. I did an impression of Meehan, and
I
it's
was
a
there.
secret. Yes, you were there. Yeah. Go back and watch anyone who. What?
Hey.
Hey.
And you've gone back in the right slot. That's great.
Yay.
Look, it's like nothing ever happened.
I'm scared because it doesn't look like it's very happy at the moment.
Oh, God.
Again.
All right. Well, we'll keep rolling. Let's finally roll into what we've been doing this week. Liv, do you want to kick off? What have you been up to? What have you been playing?
Sure.
What have you been doing?
All right. Yeah, no, I was prepared. Yeah. So what I've been doing this week is, in terms of like games and stuff, I've been playing more Star Realms.
Yay!
Of course. Yeah.
Oh no! Now there's two of them.
Yeah. Basically, I was complaining to Lolies yesterday that I keep being in matches with people, and then they could just concede before we can finish the match.
And I was
Which
saying to
sounds
Liv-
like a brag, but not.
It's like a new thing that I feel like it's. I was saying to Liv this yesterday. I feel like people have only really started conceding a lot in the last year or so. Like before that, people would let you just, take your win and like play it out. But now people just keep conceding, and I hate it so much. It's just rude.
It's such a shame.
And it's like it's just being a bad loser. What I do is if I know I'm gonna lose, I just click out of the game and I just leave them to it. Like if it's their turn and they're just finishing their turn, I just click out so I don't have to watch it. But like, I'm still there and like they can still finish their turn, kind of thing. So
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, if they're literally just trying to avoid the "you are defeated" in grey letters, I kind of get it.
Yeah.
It's it's life, Like you're not always gonna win. I think just accepting you're gonna lose. I mean, unless it's a case of sometimes there are people who drag out like a win just because they're mean.
Yeah.
And therefore I think conceding is probably a good idea. I've had a few matches where that's happened. But yeah, just
especially, I mean, if you're not playing against a person you can see, like I could appreciate it if I was just kind of there visibly like when I'm about to
but
win
it's
or
the
something.
equivalent. Them conceding is the equivalent, I guess, of them just like getting up and walking away. Although,
Yeah.
I guess in chess it's the equivalent of like knocking over your king or whatever. But this is not chess. I'm sorry to break it to you. It's not
This
chess.
is Star Realms.
Yeah, and I want to win. I want to do it. I want to play out my turn and win and
Ships.
be mean.
So basically outrage. But Star Realms is fun. I'm enjoying it. We also played some Warhammer Dominion Age of Sigmar. Me and Will's been playing.
that rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
And it does, yeah. Especially for me, brand new to Warhammer. But yeah, I'm learning how to play the new edition. And it's lots of fun. I love anything that's just kind of like, ooh, combat, let's go, tactics and whatnot. I mean, it's not so much tactics that it is that I play the Stormcast and they have super powerful characters. So it makes me feel like I'm a really good tactician, but I'm not actually. But yeah, it's a lot of fun, and it's great learning a brand new system of play as well. Like that's always something I'm really interested in. Oh yeah, and if you want to catch a let's play of me and Will's playing that, you can do so on the channel. It's somewhere on the channel. It's there.
It's floating around. Yeah.
I mean, just find it, all right?
Yeah.
We're not here to find it for you. What do you think we are?
There's
It's
playlists.
a challenge.
Although I don't know what playlist that would be in. Let's Play, I guess.
I guess it will be in Let's Play. Yeah.
Yeah, just
There's only like
Warhammer.
500
There's a search
videos
box.
in there.
yeah. Just
Recent
like
uploads.
just get that little rolly thing that's on your mouse and then click into that on the Dicebreaker channel link and then go over to the Dicebreaker channel and then watch the video.
Uh-huh.
There you go. That's my
Well,
guide to
presto.
watching the video.
You should Meehan, you should do a guide, like a video or a written article if you wish, like a guide of how to watch our videos.
Yeah.
Or like how to find us and then watch our videos.
Yeah, well, what you do is you get a mystical ocarina and then you play these 3 very specific notes on it. And then I'll come running in the room and then I'll be like, go and click on YouTube and then you can watch the videos.
Oh, that's great. So where do we get the ocarina?
Oh, that's
You
a
can
whole
buy
other
them.
guide that you need to read.
Yeah.
How to whistle an ocarina
By hand.
like a tree.
It's not just any old ocarina, Matt. It's a special Dicebreaker ocarina, okay?
Branded Dicebreaker ocarina.
That would be
We are
super
not
fun.
announcing Dicebreaker ocarinas at this time.
Come
But
on.
Matt,
We need to add it to the merch store.
I'll make them by hand.
Yeah, we'll make like a Dicebreaker Etsy. It'll be fine.
I can't guarantee they'll be out in a very frequent manner, but like
They'll be very expensive as well because they're handmade and it just takes up a lot of your time. So I reckon like £300 for one.
Yeah, I think it's only
fair.
fair.
yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah, may not play. You know.
May just be a bit
order.
of wood with
Yeah.
some holes in it. Just an elaborate drinking straw.
Look, I don't know how to make an ocarina. I know what it looks like. I can do that. I can't guarantee it will actually like.
Yeah,
play
I
sound.
mean, unsurprisingly, it does take some skill to craft a musical instrument, rather than just looking at a picture and going, "I could do that." Yeah, whatever, flute. Yeah,
Made an oboe. Yeah.
I mean,
you
you
just
just
get
get
an
a
iron
stick,
bar.
put a bunch of holes in it. That's your flute,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah, done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In it. Yeah.
To have some good.
All right. Well, fantastic. I'm delighted that Liv has. You've spent the week, I don't know, playing Star Realms, and then also somehow we got onto musical instruments.
Yeah, exactly. I got 2 little things. A D&D on Saturday, playing the Icewind Dale campaign. Still, it's good. Once again, we're still in a place I can't. It's a big spoiler, so I can't say where we are in the campaign, but it's exciting. I'm playing a tiefling, a paladin. Paladins are fun. I can cast counterspell. That's a redemption paladin. See more on my socials. Anyway, I've also been playing Sea of Thieves, which is not a board game, but yeah, I've been
Woo! See
Oh,
getting into
Got
that.
Pirates of the Caribbean coming to it. The hot property of Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah. That's a series that continues to limp on.
That has absolutely no problematic actors connected
No,
to it.
absolutely
Hey,
no
it's a
one.
great time. There's never been
Yeah.
a better time for Pirates of the Caribbean.
I mean, what? Like a few of them have Jeffrey Rush in it,
Yeah,
so that makes it slightly better, doesn't it?
yeah. They play Perudo or Liar's Dice in
Yeah.
Dead Man's
Pirates
Chest.
game, innit?
That was
Yeah.
that was how I discovered that game, because I was like, I want to be like Bootstrap Bill and like barnacled into a ship playing dice games for the rest of my eternal life.
Isn't that just
That's
Dicebreaker?
the dream.
Oh, yeah,
That's why
yeah.
we're all
I'm-
here, right?
I'm
It's what we
barnacled
wanna
into
do.
this chair.
Yeah.
Why did you want to be Bootstrap Bill, not Davy Jones?
He doesn't get to play dice games. He's too busy
He
playing.
does. He plays Liar's Dice with Will
Yeah,
Turner.
but it's clearly not his passion. His passion is organ music.
Yeah, it is organ playing, but you can have more than one passion. Like, and he
Wrong.
wins as well.
Don't worry, Matt. Me can make you an organ. She can make you an organ.
Oh
It's
my
fine.
god, Matt, you were so.
I've been seeing a picture of an organ.
Yeah, well,
It's
Matt,
like
you
a
were
keyboard
so
with some
Dwight.
pipes in the top of it.
You were so
Here-
Dwight from The Office there, like that meme, like wrong. Wrong.
here's what I'll do. I'll get some cereal boxes, and then stack them on top of one another. Yeah, and then I'll get those little cheesecake slices, and then like squish them together, and those are your keys.
Oh, terrible.
That's an organ. It looks
Just-
like an organ. I don't see what the
taping
difference is.
20 pan pipes to the back of a keyboard.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you just use your little squid face bits
Mm.
Yeah.
and then slap about on those.
Slap about on So many great quotes.
This is the ultimate goal, really. It's me opening up an Etsy store, and then you ask me to make something, but I get to make it out of anything I want.
It's the draw from memory challenge, except an Etsy store. Yeah.
And then you have to pay me the amount that I ask you to pay me, and then you just have to accept whatever I send you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just Etsy.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. I'm not breaking any laws or rules. Okay, who's next?
Is that everything been up to this week?
That's it. Yeah, sorry. Apex Penguin says, "What is she talking about? Am I having a stroke?" Hopefully not. No, we're all good. But yes, that's it. All good. That's what I've been doing. Not much else.
All right, excellent stuff. Lolies, let's roll over to you.
I've been playing so much, but mostly because I haven't been on the podcast for like 3 weeks. So I have 3 weeks worth of games actually, but most of these I played in the last week or so, I would say. So I played, I bought Set a Watch recently. I played it, I think only once ever, and it was the first game.
It's classic, it
was the first game I played. So when I joined Dicebreaker, I came to the office a couple of weeks before I started, and well, not the office, I kind of came to the office, and Johnny Wheels and I went to a pub, and we brought Set a Watch because I watched them play it, and I was like, that looks really fun. So we played that in a pub, and so it was the first game I ever played with the lads, as part of the team, and that was good. And that's the only time I ever played it. So it's been literally like 2 years since I've played it. Like probably coming up to 2 years, definitely. And so I bought it and I played it again. And it's funny because 2 years on, I remember like Wheels and Johnny, because they'd played it quite a bit, saying, that it wasn't a perfect game because it can be quite unbalanced sometimes. Sometimes it's just a cakewalk and sometimes it's like nails. And that just comes down to kind of like the cards you draw at the end of the day sometimes. And I really realized that, I think. I really noticed it when I played it the other day. So, but that was really fun. And I'd like to play some more of it. But yeah, it's something to keep in mind, I think, when you're playing it, or if you're interested in playing it. Played Flamme Rouge. I went to Chance Encounters in Bristol and met my friend who, weirdly, I know from working at Drafts in London. So we were both board game gurus, and he moved to the same kind of area as me within 2 weeks of me, and we didn't know. Neither of us had told each other that we were leaving London and moving to a similar area until it was like happening. Actually, I found out from somebody who owns Chance Encounters. I was asking them for games, asked them to play some games, and they were like, "Oh, you realize your mate is like gonna work for us?" And I was like, "No." What? So anyway, we met up, and it was really nice just to play like IRL games and like in a board game cafe, because it's surreal. It's my first time back at a board game cafe in probably 2 years now as well. So that was really fun. Played Flamme Rouge, which everyone knows Flamme Rouge, right? It's like the cycling race game where you are cyclists. You control 2 cyclists each, and you're racing, but it's like really kind of fun because you're trying to obviously get ahead and win the race. At the same time, you don't want to be in the front of the pack, because you get like these exhausted cards every time you're in the front of the pack. So you kind of want to be like just behind the person who's in the lead, so you're not gaining exhaustion, and that you can kind of like quickly overtake them at the end. But it's really tricky because obviously like you play your cards in secret, so you never know exactly where everyone's going to go. So you have to kind of like make a guess based on like the fact that you all have the same cards, and like you just kind of have to guess where people are going to go and try and go close to them but not overtake them. So that was really fun. I really, really like that game. It's one of my favorite games, and I highly recommend it. Then I also played Quacks with all the expansions, which I've been doing a lot over the last few weeks. Star Realms Arena I played, I think yesterday it was, just because I wanted to see what the rules were for the arena this week. They're not that interesting.
So is the arena like it just changes every week, like different variants and stuff?
Yeah, it's a different rule set every week. So this week the rule is that there's like 4 different factions, and like different cards have different abilities that obviously trigger when you play them. But this week there is like a basic like rule that triggers for the first card of each faction that you play. So if you just play any yellow, you get to draw a card and discard a card. If you play a red, you get to put a card from your discard pile on the top of your deck. If you play a green, I think it lets you scrap a card from the trade row, and a blue gives you some health. So, but it only happens for the first card you play, and it's kind of interesting because, like in Skyrim, you mostly want to stick to one or two factions, ideally 3 sometimes, but you don't really want to have too many different factions in your deck because you want to be drawing the same factions, playing the same factions, so that they kind of like their ally abilities trigger. And so this rule this week kind of encourages you a little bit to go for more of a rainbow deck because it only triggers the first time. You're a bit like, oh, I get a lot more for this one card now because of the extra kind of ability that it triggers. So it's kind of interesting. But I feel like I've played it before. I think it might be one of the boss monsters that's in Skyrim's Frontiers, I think, has a similar rule to that, and I've played against that before. So I was a bit like, yeah, I've done this. Whatever.
All news.
Yeah, exactly. I played Pandemic twice. I played Pandemic Hot Zone. So, right, okay, I've bought Pandemic Legacy Season 1. I'm finally going to play the Legacy version that I've been wanting to for years. I've mentioned it before, I think, that I was invited to a Legacy game, like, back when I worked at Drafts, and we played the same month twice because we failed it. And then I think I left Drafts like shortly-ish afterwards, and it was a bunch of people who worked at Drafts who were playing together, and I never got invited back, so I never got to keep playing the like campaign. So for years I've been like, I want to get it, but also I want to. I've never really had a chance to, because you want to obviously do it with kind of the same group, ideally. So now I've got someone to play with regularly. I finally bought it. And so, because they had never played Pandemic before, I was like, before we start on this, let me just teach you Pandemic, because we're not going into this, because everything, has a consequence and carries over in the game. So we played Hot Zone first, because that's the only Pandemic I had. And then I realized that if I just, don't bring in the legacy bits of the legacy version, we could just play regular ones. So we played that as well. And it was good. We won both games.
Nice.
The Hot Zones was like, we were playing on easy mode, and it's fairly simple anyway, because it's like a simplified, shorter version of Pandemic. So that was quite an easy win. And then the second game I made like medium hard, I would say. And that one came quite close to losing, but we did it in the end. So I'll be playing the Legacy quite soon. I'm very excited about it.
Yeah, you'll probably overtake us, to be honest.
Oh yeah, I forgot you were playing it.
Yep, still going.
Where are you in it?
I think we're in maybe August.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well,
September. You probably will overtake us.
That's
a
like
decent
8 or
number of
9
games
months.
then.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We'll
it's just slow going. I like it. I do like the game. It's just finding time and the desire to play it. Each month it does feel different. There are different elements and it does evolve, but it is still kind of fundamentally the same kind of game. So we don't really want to play it like every time you sit down to play board games. So
yeah, are you playing 2 players?
Yeah.
Do you only control a character each?
Yeah.
Right, okay. Because I was wondering if with 2 players, should we make it so we control 2 characters each? Because I was like, is it like a lot harder if it's just going to be...
It's balanced. Like the game will be balanced depending on how many players are playing. Because if you think about it, if there are fewer players, then the player deck gets whittled down fewer times.
That's true.
That's the way that Pandemic kind of balances itself with, you have fewer players, it means fewer actions, but that means your player deck, which you all share, means that it goes down slower, which means that you have more time.
Yeah, the only problem with that is because obviously there's a hand limit that, like, if I'm collecting blacks and I say have like 4 blacks on my hand, and then I also have like 3 reds, all of a sudden I'm having to like chuck away cards until I get that one black card that I need. That's the only thing I would like be a bit, because I think with 4 players you can all kind of almost concentrate on like one color each.
Yeah, but like that's why you have actions like trading and such, and the game will allow you to upgrade certain abilities throughout. I don't want to give too much away,
Okay.
which help you. I don't think we found it too difficult or too easy. Like, it's been fairly well balanced. We've been winning more often than we've been losing. Like,
Okay.
but a lot of the time, those wins have felt very like, bums, like sweaty bum.
Yeah. Well, that's good, I think, because like I think the whole point of pandemic is that you're supposed to feel a bit panicked.
Yeah.
But like,
I don't know why I said sweaty bum, by the way.
Yeah, normally it's squeaky bum time, but yeah.
I
I just
enjoyed
assumed it was a regular saying that you just throw around.
Yeah,
me,
just
but...
one of those. Yeah.
Yeah, I
that's
mean,
it.
this time of year, everyone's got a sweaty bum.
I mean, yeah,
I
sweaty
don't.
bum regardless. I mean, that's all I've been playing. But I'm gonna
Sweaty bum summer.
It was hot girl summer. Now it's sweaty bum.
Yeah, it's always sweaty bum summer for me.
Anyway, apart from playing all of... Oh, wait, I played another game that I haven't mentioned. Heroic Echoic, I think it's called. I don't know how to pronounce that second word, but Heroic Echoic, I think is how you say it, is a card game where you have different cards that have like lots of little symbols on them, and those symbols correspond with heroes that are in the game, and the heroes have special abilities, and the whole point is that you try and win 5 heroes to win the game. But the way that you do that is that everyone's like drawing cards into their hand, and eventually one person will be like, okay, I'm gonna play this hero, I'm gonna bet on this hero, and they like place a bet and say like, okay, I've got 2 cards, for example, that have this hero symbol on it, so that's what I'm gonna bet. But other people can then outbet you and try and win that hero instead. So there's like an element of potentially bluffing, because you might only play 2, but actually you've got like 6 in your hand, but you're just like trying to bet low so that you can, because all the cards have like multiple symbols on them, so they account for multiple heroes. So you might want to be holding on to some of them to then be able to bet on different heroes down the line. And then once you have like won the hero, so whoever obviously bet the most gets the hero has like a special ability that you can potentially use for the rest of the game to kind of help you in like betting scenarios or whatever the case may be. And then there's like a kind of, I don't even know what it's called, like a zone in the middle where there's cards face up, and it's like it's quite fun. It's very simple. I think the premise is very simple. It was a bit confusing because I think it's like self-published, so like there was a couple of like confusing bits, and the design of it is like a bit ugly, I would say, but the game itself was good fun. So that's something else I played.
Right.
But I mean, I've also watched things, but I think I've been talking for ages. So
what have you watched? Run through them quickly. That's what we're here to do.
I watched the movie A Quiet Place 2, because I watched A Quiet Place 1 for the first time recently, and I was like, oh my god, this is so good. I don't know if you've watched it, but it's
yeah,
the first one I've watched.
It has one of the most hilarious moments in any film, I think.
What bit?
Oh god,
The bit where
spoiler alert.
Yeah, there's a spoiler, but at one point there's like a whiteboard, and it's basically just exposition, the whiteboard.
Yeah.
And like I think the main character just kind of points at it, and there's something circled that is like the big thing.
Oh yeah.
And it is one of the most hilarious things I've seen in any film ever. And this like otherwise I think it's like generally a pretty good horror film, but like that particular moment is so funny.
The twist at the end of the film is very much like, okay, we've kind of figured that out, and we're kind of a bit surprised why it's taken them that long. But tell us about the second one, Lolies, without spoiling anything.
Yeah, I won't spoil anything. So the first one is like focused on a family who live in a place where these like aliens have like come down into the world, and like they react to like the smallest sound essentially, and they will just absolutely destroy you and murder you. If you make a small sound, they will just come running out of nowhere and like kill you. So like the whole thing is that everyone's like living in silence, and it focuses on this family. So like a mom and dad and 2 kids.
Yeah, big dad, beard dad.
Yeah. And then they've got like an older sister and like a slightly younger brother, and they're just like, and the girl, actually this is quite interesting, the girl is deaf, so they use sign language a lot in this, and sometimes it shows the film from her perspective as well. In that case, they actually completely remove the sound for like the audience as well. And then when it's like somebody else's point of view, then you can hear the sounds. But yeah, they use sign language and stuff. And apparently the actress who plays her is actually deaf as well, which is really cool. But yeah, that's kind of like what the film is about. It's like, people getting murdered and them trying to like survive in this like world where they have to stay silent. So in the second version, I can't say too much because obviously something happens in the first one, which then carries over to the second one. But the family try and find shelter somewhere else because they were like in this farmhouse in the first one. Try and find shelter somewhere else, and then it's. I'm trying to think what I can say without
spoiling it around it.
We know that Cillian Murphy's in it. It's because like he's in the trailers, so like you talk about Cillian Murphy.
It's a lot of the same kind of thing, but like they're kind of moving away and they're traveling. So there's a lot more like on the road, trying to also they kind of had built this like safe space in the farmhouse where they'd put like sand on the ground to like muffle their footsteps and stuff. And now they're like kind of out in the world almost, and they're trying to get by without being heard. And there was there's now a small baby involved in the second one, which is obviously really hard to deal with because babies will just cry and you're like trying to stay silent in a world. So it's really, really good, and I really liked it, and I'd highly recommend seeing it, especially if you like the first one. And then I've been watching Loki as well on Disney Plus.
Same.
I saw it. So I'm gonna let Meehan talk about Loki, and I'll just chime in. But I've been liking it, and I've been watching it. So
yeah. No, again, I don't want to spoil anything. It's on Disney Plus, and it stars Tom Hiddleston, who is a very talented actor.
Meehan definitely fancies him.
Yeah,
I can tell.
Was this like a middle school?
Oh my god.
I've got a photo of him on the wall. I don't. No, he's a Shakespearean actor. No, he is Loki. Like he clearly loves playing this role, and he really fits with it.
Loki attractive. Sorry, carry on.
And again, I don't want to ruin too much because a lot of it depends on whether you've watched Endgame. There's some really interesting things going on in the story. This is like another one of those series that's showing that, the Behemoth of Disney, like they're actually kind of using their television series to take more risks and do some really interesting things with storytelling, a bit like WandaVision, which was also really good. And it's got Owen Wilson in it, who is just charming.
Well, this is the fun thing, right? I very much dislike Owen Wilson.
Okay.
And I was purposely not told. I was purposely not told that he was in this. And then we went to put it on, and like Owen Wilson is on like the little, thumb that they've got on Disney Plus. And I was like, is that Owen Wilson? And they were like,
No.
And I was like, that's Owen Wilson. And then like when Owen Wilson appeared, I was like, that's Owen Wilson. And they were like, no, it's not. And I was like, yes, it is.
So what, Lolies, why do you not like him? Is it just the films he's been in and stuff?
Yeah, I think he's good in this, to be fair to him. I do think I'm starting to see him in a slightly different light, but I've not liked him until this point. So like, I still find him quite annoying. Like I don't find him funny. Like whenever he makes like a joke, and even in Loki, I'm like, no, you're not funny, mate. But I'm gonna keep watching it because I think it's a good series, despite Owen Wilson.
I like that your friends were gaslighting you over Owen Wilson. I've never heard that be done before.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. I was like, excuse me, that is Owen Wilson. I like Googled it and I went, look, it's Owen Wilson. And they're like, and I was like, did you not know? And they were like, yeah, of course I did. I'm like, why are you lying to me? I clearly know it's Owen Wilson.
Anyway. I just hope they explore some things around Loki's character, and there's hints that they'll be exploring his identity as being gender fluid, which is really exciting because Loki is like canonically, I've read like some books around Norse mythology, and there is quite a lot around Loki's character as being like quite gender fluid and also like not straight really. So I'm hoping they do some interesting stuff around that. So, and there's something that happens in the first episode where I was like, they can't do this to me. Like, I can't. I think I was drinking something, and I actually did I did actually spray something.
Oh god, a spit take.
So I'll let you imagine what that was. But yeah, board games.
Right.
So I haven't been playing a huge amount since I was last on the podcast, but one game that I did play that I really enjoyed is called The Lost Ruins of Arnak. This is a game that's on Board Game Arena, and it came out last year. Yeah, giving a shout out to Board Game Arena. It came out last year, and the app on Board Game Arena. So let me tell you about this. It's very odd. The game board looks like a very low-res JPEG for some reason. It's very hard to read things on it. So I was like, oh, okay, I'll just use the 3D mode and try and zoom in and see stuff. Because the board is kind of important because it's got the different various paths you can go down to kind of earn points in the game. So it's kind of important. That was interesting, but the main thing that I found intriguing about the app was, and it was only happening to me, certain actions will cause tokens to kind of be exchanged to different players, but for some reason they would just float in the game over the board. There would just be these images of gold pieces and rubies and whatever. And then they just wouldn't go away, even when I went out of the 3D mode, even when I refreshed the game. So by the end of the game, my screen just looked like I had to float over, hover over stuff to read anything, because it was just a smorgasbord of coins and rubies and things. And I took a screenshot for my friends who I was playing with, and they were like, I have no idea what this is because I can't see this either. So I do actually have pictures that I might share with the group at some point. But yeah, that was a wild ride. But the game itself was really fun. It's a deck building game. And it's you're exploring an island on the hunt for treasure.
Ooh,
If it was a hunt for Trevor, that would be.
Look, I also finished Castlevania recently, so.
Oh yeah, no,
always
on the hunt for Trevor. Yeah.
Yeah. Who wouldn't be? Have you seen him?
yeah.
Yeah. So it's a bit like Indiana Jones-ish. You sort of go to different dig sites, looking for treasure and things, and then you also hire your assistants, and you get different resources. But it is just a very much a victory point kind of gathering game. But there are many different ways you can gather victory points, and initially it's very overwhelming. The rule book isn't enormous, but there's just a lot going on that you're oh, I guess I'll have to play and work this out. But it's actually a really fun game. You don't have you're not really supposed to have a massive deck, because it's a combination of deck building and worker placement. So you have little archaeologists that you could send to the different dig sites, but you need to be able to have cards that you can play to transport them. And the further away the dig site, the more kind of resources you have to pay to get them there. But then the bigger rewards you'll find and the more victory points you'll gather. But then you can also go along this research track, which will also give you victory points as long as you have the resources to pay to do it. And then you can also just buy cards which are worth points too. So there are loads of different sort of paths that you kind of have to commit to a few of them, because otherwise you're just going to be spread too thin, and you generally get the better rewards the further along you go in those paths. But it's definitely one I would play again, because then I would have a greater understanding of it. But it's one of those games that instantly kind of gripped me as soon as I realized, okay, this is what's going on. Because there is a sort of there's almost an engine building element to it, in the sense that once you start getting your hands on more resources and you have a better deck, then you can like combo off, you know, different actions.
Mhm.
So even though you only have one main action per game, you can do some free actions as well on top of that. So initially you won't be doing a huge amount to start with, but by the end, like our last round took like quite a long time because we were all able to kind of combo off our previous actions to just squeeze a little bit more out of that round. So I definitely really enjoyed it, and now I want my own copy of it because I love deck building games like that.
Am I right in thinking it's a Spiel des Jahres nominee?
Yeah, I
or
think
Kenner
so.
Spiel des Jahres?
Yeah, I definitely know it's won some awards. I'm trying to remember exactly which ones, but the designers haven't done a huge amount. They're like a duo. But this is a really good game, and the art style is really nice, and it's Czech Games edition.
Oh.
So yeah,
They make some good games.
Yeah, they really
Code
do.
Names, some other games.
Galaxy Trucker.
Yeah, Galaxy Trucker.
Yeah,
Made
yeah.
Night.
That Jam one.
Oh yeah, Letter Jam. That is
That
a good
one.
game. I feel like that really flew under the radar. Letter Jam.
Yeah,
it's a really good word game.
I think it might have come out in a year that was like pretty big with other games. Maybe and I was just like.
I think it was 2019. I think.
Yeah, it was 2019. I remember.
Matt Frower wrote a review for the
I'm
site
actually
when we
quite
launched
sad
it.
because I won a copy of it at Essen, and then, well, I'm not that sad. I liked the game, but I didn't like love it. But my cousin liked it, and so I gifted my copy to him, which I think is nice of me.
Yeah. It's a great sacrifice.
It's a good game.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
All right.
I just wanted to say how nice.
Let's praise
I am.
Lolies some more. Yeah. Lolies, you're lovely.
Yeah. So I really enjoyed that, and then other than that, I finished Pokemon. Sword.
What do you mean you finished?
Oh, okay, Sword, right.
Oh, I was going to say,
Oh, did
do you
you?
just mean like the franchise as a whole? Just like,
Yeah,
I've done it.
Completed
I closed it all down. Like we've
Went
no
to
more
Nintendo.
Pokemon. No. Yeah. It was good. You know. I challenged me a little bit, surprisingly. Some of the character designs are stupid, and I kind of enjoy them. Particularly the champion, who just has the worst hair, like a giant purple mane of hair, and then his beard is just a completely different color, and he wears like a football like outfit.
Is this the older brother?
Yeah,
Yeah.
this
Right.
is the older brother.
Does he have a cape, or am I just
He
imagining?
has a
that?
cape. Yeah.
Yeah.
He has a fur-lined cape.
Of course.
And a baseball cap, and these tights on his legs.
It's just a bad time. Like I bought Pokemon Sword, being so excited because the first time I was like gonna play Pokemon since like Ruby, and I was so excited about it. And then I've not clicked with any of the characters to the point that I feel like I can't play it anymore.
I mean, I would say the characters are rarely the draw for Pokemon.
Well, this is the thing, right? Because I was like, oh, these characters suck. And then I recently, because you know on Netflix they've got like the Indigo League Pokemon, original Pokemon. And I started rewatching it and I was like, characters in Pokemon have always been a bit annoying, actually. Because when I was a kid, I obviously didn't realize it, I guess. But yeah, so I might just get back into it and just try and ignore them.
No. I mean, like, I would say, as someone who played the original Pokemon games and did love them, I am definitely in the camp that doesn't dunk on the new ones, because even though they're not maybe specifically what I want from the game, there's an entirely new generation of kids that are playing Pokemon that probably love it, and this is what they enjoy. And frankly, the game should be made more for them than for me.
It's harder now, though.
No, it's much easier, but it's still challenging. But it's a lot easier, I think, than the original game, which is neither good or bad. Like it's just a fact that I'm stating. But and like I do like some of the new designs; they're fun. I didn't use a huge amount of them though. I liked it more than Sun. So that's something. And also, I got to have a dragon ghost Pokemon, which I love. Nice. Dragapult is awesome because it shoots its own babies at people and stuff.
Oh, good.
Yeah, that's nature.
That's nature. And I got to have a Swoobat, so
yeah.
Nice.
I'm happy.
Electric dog.
I knew that would be like the one thing. Yeah.
Swinbat. All right.
Matt Jarvis, what have you been up to?
Well, this segues very nicely because I actually played a bit of the Pokemon trading card game the other day. I don't really know why. I just loaded it up and the tutorial was just like, play these 11-year-olds in a tournament. And then partly because it was the tutorial and partly because I've played a little bit of the Pokemon card game before and they're not very hard AI opponents. But I was just like trashing these virtual like 11-year-olds and felt like genuinely a little bit bad because I got to the point
to get over them,
because I like evolved, like I was able to do enough damage where I was killing or defeating, fainting every Pokemon they were. Pokemon don't die, kids. It's fine. They do die because Cubone's mother is a ghost. Anyway. It got to the point where they would bring out a Pokemon and then I would be able to like defeat it in a single attack. So it would just be this kind of thing of like bring out a Pokemon, like wipe it out, bring out a Pokemon, wipe it out. And I genuinely felt a little bit bad, but not quite that bad.
Were they all like bug trainers then?
No, it was just kind of like like I say, it was the tutorial. It's similar to Magic Arena where it's like you fight 5 people and they use slightly different decks. And I was using like a electric and normal deck. So it's like.
Sorry, go on.
No, you go.
I was going to say, have all of us been playing Pokemon? Because I just realised I've been playing loads of Pokemon Go this week. We've all been playing like different iterations of Pokemon.
I've been thinking about Pokemon Sword. That's about
that
it.
Counts. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. So yeah, I played a little bit of that. I was coming into this thinking like I haven't played anything, but actually I've played quite a lot, or at least looked at things. So Soul Raiders have written up some full impressions on the site. I chatted about it a bit in last week's podcast. It's a new game from Marc-Andre of Splendor fame. I don't think it seems very great so far, which is really disappointing because I love Splendor, and this just feels a bit like a boring fantasy game. I really wanted to like it more. It's billed as like. It's powered by a new system called Running Quest, which is kind of like, it's a little bit like the Seventh Continent for those that have played that game. Like the exploration. So it's open-ended exploration. You go to places, you find monsters, you fight the monsters, events happen, you get little snippets of story, and you use cards from your hand. So it's got like a tiny bit of Gloomhaven. It's like a really, really light Gloomhaven where you're using cards from your hand to pull off moves. But it's not, the story isn't good enough to make it like a strong narrative game, which is what it seems to be going for. Like it bills itself as like each of 3 chapters is like 1 to 2 hours long, and they build into like a finale, and your decisions are meant to carry over. It's worth saying I was playing a demo, like a prototype, and they said it's a separate prologue, so it's not connected to the main story of the game. But despite that, the story that was there and the writing it wasn't very interesting. Like none of the monsters were named, not even the kind of unique monsters that are meant to be these bigger kind of, they're like brought in by certain event cards or effects. They don't have names. And even on the events, it's just like the warrior looks at you or the man in the bronze mask. It's like, it's just a bit, I didn't gel with it at all. And then the gameplay doesn't feel, it's got nowhere near the depth of something like a Gloomhaven. So it just ended up as kind of like I've got these cards, like I'm fighting these monsters. And at one point I was kind of like trapped in a place because the monsters had effects that wouldn't let me flee. And then there more would spawn at the end of the turn. So I'd like defeat 2 and then 4 more would spawn. And like, there are some interesting ideas in there. The fact that your party shares a pool of health. So you're encouraged to kind of venture together. And they're like, it has event cards and you use cards from your hand to fight, but also to pick locks or, dodge traps or things like that. But it just didn't grip me. I was kind of left really disappointed because Splendor, the theme of Splendor is dull as dishwater. It's like Renaissance, like trading. It's every other like board game, like Euro board game made in the last like 25 years. That's really dull, but Splendor's gameplay is so good and so simple that like it's a game I've always gone back to for years and years and years. Like I play it on my phone a lot. Like it's a game I would recommend to almost anybody as just like a really good game. and this just was so bland. And I feel bad saying that because I want to like it more, but it was so bland and so forgettable. And yeah, it was a real disappointment. So I'm a bit gutted. I've also, speaking of disappointments, I looked at the 15th anniversary edition of Ticket to Ride. I think a video should be going up this weekend, but I've written an article on the site with some pictures. It is £100 for that set. Also $100 if you're in the US. It's a lot of money. It's like you can find normal Ticket to Ride Europe. So this is Ticket to Ride Europe, I should say. You can find normal Ticket to Ride Europe for like 25 quid now. So this is about 4 times the price. Like I think some places are selling it for about 85. So it's at least 3 times the price.
So how many bags of broken biscuits do you reckon you could get instead of Ticket to Ride?
That's all in his review.
But there's like it's bigger. The map is bigger. The map is actually slightly better because it's a little bit more colourful. The trains are unique now. They come in little metal tins. The tins are quite nice. But the trains, like most of them are fine, but there were multiple. There was at least one for every set that I looked at that was just had like a glaring misprint, like visible from a relative distance.
Wow.
And I found at least one for each of the player colours, and in some cases multiple. And in a set that's 100 quid, where like particularly those trains are the big selling point, like it's a real kind of a real letdown. Like the cards, they've changed the illustration on the back of the cards that you use to claim routes from like an illustration that I've spent no time thinking about really, because it was just like, it's like a blue kind of train, a cog, whatever. I didn't think about it much. They've just changed that for just the logo. They've just slapped on the back. And it just feels naff. Like the rainbow cards, like, or the wild cards that you use to buy any route that count as any card, they're no longer as bright. They've just put the rainbow in 2 corners of the frame. So actually from a distance, like I show this on the video, but from a distance, they almost look similar to the black train cards because they're just like a dark gray. So like across a bigger board, like they're not as obvious. Whereas the ones before had like a rainbow behind the train. Yeah. So it's a real, again, like I love Ticket to Ride. Like I think more than anybody else on the team. I think like I've been vocal about my love of Ticket to Ride. So I was really looking forward to this, thinking like this game I really love, like nice version of a game I love, but I just don't think it's worth the money. Like I don't think I can recommend it. Even if you really like Ticket to Ride, there are just better things to spend your money on.
The thing is, I'd say like £100 is quite steep. Yeah. To me for a board game, unless like it's something like Gloomhaven, for example, where that is like a big chunk. There's like plenty of like the playtime you'll get out of that is probably going to be worth the price. And a lot of the time people will buy those kind of games together as like a group because then they play them together. But this just like already a game that you can get for 25 quid, like you said, that, you know, obviously it depends how many times you play it. So you might easily like, you know, it might be worth the investment, but it just sounds like, you know, in some ways it's worse than the original, and you're paying like 4 times the amount.
I think that's the thing. It's like I have put a lot of time into Ticket to Ride. It's a game I love, and it's a game I will probably always go back to and be up for playing with people. So like a nice version of that game is something that I would be, you know, feasibly willing to spend money on, because I would get it's like anything, right? You get your value's worth out of it. But this just doesn't feel like that value is there for me, which is really disappointing. Other things I've been playing, Railroad Ink Challenge, which is out on mobile and PC as of like yesterday or the day before. I woke up very early this morning at 4 a.m. And just started playing Railroad Ink, and then I played Railroad Ink for about 2 hours. It's a really good app. It's really nice. It's like 4 quid, so I think it's like $4 as well. But it's a really good version of that game. For those who don't know, it's a roll and write game about trains, more trains. Train game of the week returns.
Trains have been up and down for you this week, it seems.
Railroad Ink is like a fantastic game. Even if you're not big into trains, I just think it's a really good game. But this is a really good version of it. I would recommend it to people if you're just wanting to check that game out. Like you roll dice, you create, you fill in a grid with different rail sections and highways, so roads. You're looking to connect up exits. In the version that's in the app at the moment, there are things like universities and villages and factories that you can fill in those squares to get various bonuses. You're basically looking to just connect everything up, fill as many squares as possible within 7 rounds. It's very simple, but it's one of those games that is like really easy to play through in about 5 minutes. Maybe when you're on the train, when that's a thing again.
Whoa!
Just try and score. So it has like multiplayer. It has like a score mode with leaderboards and stuff like that. I think it's a really good version of that game. That game is it's quite pretty. Like they do various multicolored boxes, so like blue, red, green, and yellow. This is the blue version, but I think it's really well presented. It runs really well. I think it's a really, really good app. Those are the games I've been playing. In terms of other stuff, I'll quickly bash through. I've been watching My Hero Academia anime always.
Yep,
it's good. I like it. The theme gets progressively worse for every season, apart from the bit that goes. I think it's like the start of season 3. That's a really good opening theme.
I told you I watched like the first 2 episodes of that show.
Yeah, I'd recommend sticking with it genuinely.
The main character is just infuriatingly awful.
But everybody knows that. Like, everybody knows he's a bit of a, like, you know...
You're supposed to, like, connect with him because you're like, oh, he doesn't have any powers, but he wants to be a superhero and stuff. I'm like, okay, fair dues. But just, like, maybe, like, it seems like quite a lot of other people just sort of find their other sort of career paths.
Yeah, but it's part of it, right? It's like it's a journey as it progresses and matures and so on. It's a coming of age. Wait till you meet Todoroki, and then like if you don't like it after that, then fine. There's no hope. But meet Todoroki, see how that goes, because look, it's good stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not going to be for everyone. It's fine.
I do have a friend who's like, you should keep going with it, and I'm like, okay, because I do want to watch some more anime. I just find it hard to get into anime sometimes. Because certain characters really annoy me, certain character types really annoy me, and this particular character type is one of those.
I completely get that. I've been told the same, man. Yeah,
a dweeby boy who needs to like to still, you know, like stop. Yeah, like being and then I did like the bits where he's like being a fanboy over the big American style. Like hero, and then there was like a bit where there was like a lady hero, and I was like, oh no, and there was a little bit of that, but it wasn't too bad. But
there were a few moments of that, but generally I think it knows what it's going for. Like All Might is like the all-American hero.
I did
screams the name of like states in the US.
I do like his character. He's pretty good.
I watched that. I've been watching the Lone Wolf and Cub movies, which I continue to like. They're very schlocky, like 70s like samurai films with like very bright red blood and like nonsense James Bond gadgets that pop out of a cart and stuff like that. I think that's mainly it. I played a bit of Ratchet and Clank. I like that game. It's a PS2 platformer, but very pretty, and I like it.
Yeah.
I forgot to say. Oh, so carry on. Yeah. How are you playing it?
How am I playing it? Oh, on PS5. I think it's only out on PS5, right?
How did you have a PS5?
Oh, yeah, right.
I managed to get into the pre-order. Anyway, let's Liv.
I was just going to say that I forgot to say I've been watching Sweet Tooth on Netflix.
Oh yeah, I've been watching that too. What do you think?
Yeah, I quite like it. Yeah, no, it's I'm intrigued by it. I hope it doesn't have like an ending that like is a letdown or something. Like, ooh, this is a twist, but it's not really. But I think the characters are really lovable and the premise is intriguing. The premise is like basically there's a worldwide pandemic virus, surprise, going on.
A lot of that happening, isn't there?
Yeah, it's wild, isn't it? But at the same time as that happens, children start being born, and they're called hybrids, and they're like half human, half animal, but like their parents are normal humans. So it's like, oh, are they tied to the virus? What's causing the virus? Blah blah blah. It's really fun, and the main character is like a little like deer boy. He's very cute.
This is the Deer Boy show. I recognise the name. Right. Liv, as a fellow fan of Beastars, how does it compare?
It's much more wholesome.
Okay, right, yeah.
Which is saying something because it's not actually that wholesome. So
Okay, sure.
To be honest, I feel like we're already living in that world that is in Sweet Tooth, because I feel like a slug human hybrid, like every
Get her.
Yeah, no.
yeah, I feel like I'm just slugging around in life.
The hybrids are like fairly in danger. I mean, I'm only a couple of episodes in, but it seems to be kind of quite post-apocalyptic in some ways. And,
Yeah.
And yeah, if you're a hybrid, you will get killed. So
Yeah, no, I
be careful
probably,
telling people that, Meehan.
I know.
Yeah,
right?
I probably wouldn't last very long.
Slug girl.
As
Yeah,
a
if you don't
slug girl, you're not
mind.
going to get anywhere very quickly anyway.
Run!
I feel like I often don't get anywhere that quickly anyway, as slug girl, so...
Terrible. Loli, stop.
Yeah,
No
sorry. I
way.
mean, for those of you listening to the podcast, you don't know what's going
There's
on.
a lot of head bobbing.
I'm being a slug.
Yeah, I'm basically, is it Roz from...
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Can we move on to this week's news? A couple of headlines.
I mean, we only spent an hour talking about.
Look, that's
Totally
what this
worth it.
podcast is now.
Totally
Yeah.
worth
So a couple of quick headlines. Just it's been a relatively quiet week for news, but one of the bigger announcements, I think we all saw it coming. Anyone who's kind of been following this for a while, Battlestar Galactica: the board game is coming back, kind of. So Battlestar Galactica, the board game, came out like 2008, I think. Is beloved by many people, which is a shame because you can't buy it anywhere.
Yeah, I like it.
The license expired. It's obviously based on the TV show made by Fantasy Flight. It involves hidden roles, so there are one or more hidden Cylons among the human crew of the Battlestar Galactica, and they're trying to just mess stuff up as it travels through space and basically kill everybody. So it's coming back, but it's coming back as an Arkham Horror game called Unfathomable. And I think Unfathomable is a really good title for this. Like partly because of the wordplay, and also it's just not called Arkham Horror : the social deduction game or something like that.
Yeah.
So it is set aboard like a Steamliner now. It actually takes place before the rest of the Arkham Horror Files series. So before things like Mansions of Madness and the card game and Eldritch Horror and so on. Interestingly, there's a new roster of characters. So rather than like the returning characters and investigators that people are probably familiar with from those games, now there is a whole new crew. They've only announced the captain so far, whose name I can't find. Kalani Tatupu. So they were announced. But it's essentially Battlestar Galactica, from what we can tell, what they've announced so far. There are hidden Deep One hybrids. So anyone that's familiar with Arkham Horror, they're kind of like the sea monsters who are kind of half human, half sea monster. So there are some of those lurking among the crew and passengers of the ship. The crew and passengers are trying to make it safely across the Atlantic. And meanwhile, the Deep Ones are trying to sink the entire ship and take it down to, is it Dagon, the sea monster god?
Someone's down there. It's like,
yeah, it's about time. You don't want your ship to sink, regardless of whether there's like some horrifying monster in the ocean or not.
It's probably the octopuses. They're always up to something down there. So.
Look, they have like octopuses. They found this week have sentiments and feelings. Again, everybody kind of knew, but
they're like on board.
Yeah,
I heard there's a pinball machine on that boat.
They can predict the football and feel good about it when they get it right.
I mean, they literally poop when they're scared. Of course, they have strong feelings. You know.
Same. So Unfathomable is coming out this September. An interesting note is that basically the gameplay is the same as Battlestar Galactica. So you have rounds and different events happen each round. So you might have to ration food. Or there might be like a hull breach or damage to the ship, and everybody can contribute their cards to help out. Or if you're a Deep One hybrid, you might decide to contribute cards that are not going to help because they're all face down, so nobody knows. But you're trying to find out who's messing you up, basically.
Very Dead of Winter. I like that.
Yeah, it's very Dead of Winter. So it's basically that game, but obviously kind of reskinned to Arkham Horror. A big change is that the box is $80, which I think is more than Battlestar Galactica was. And a big part of that is that there are now miniatures in the box.
Oh, of course, there are
not of the
miniatures,
investigators, but of the monsters that are kind of invading the ship. So yeah, it's quite pricey, I would say. That's quite a big chunk of change. For various reasons, like the prices of board games are going up at the moment because of various shipping like nightmares that are going on, and production nightmares that are going on around the world. But even so, that's quite a high price tag, I would say. It's kind of, it's nearing something like Mansions of Madness, which has a lot of miniatures and a lot of stuff in that box.
Disappointing, because I am a fan of the Battlestar Galactica game. Despite not really being a fan of the series, like a lot of people tried to get me into it, and I was like, yeah, I'll do it, and then I just never watched it. But I like the game very much because the design really worked. As a social deduction game with other elements, I think it's the best kind of social deduction game in terms of, like, I just don't think I really enjoy social deduction games that are just that. And I was like, oh, I like the Arkham Horror Files universe stuff. But $80.
It probably will be £80.
Probably will also be £80.
Will come close to that.
That to me is quite expensive for a board game, and I just wish they wouldn't put miniatures in it. Like,
yeah, it's unnecessary, isn't it? Especially if it's not your player characters. It's like, I don't really care about the monsters.
Yeah, it's worth saying though, like it obviously, like that price will be of, like, you may feel it's expensive, you may feel it's about right, depending on your own personal feelings about it, but it is a darn sight cheaper than Battlestar Galactica, the board game, which still goes for like hundreds of pounds or dollars. So maybe there's an element of that in there. I don't know. I would be surprised. Like, that's a very cynical take on it. But either way, yeah, it's kind of a shame to see it come in at quite a high price. But I'm really intrigued. I've not really played Battlestar Galactica very much, but it's always seemed really kind of interesting. I am a big fan of social deduction, and I like the Arkham Horror Files universe in general. I like the kind of vibes it has.
I will say that you were like, oh, everyone saw it coming. This is going to be the Battlestar Galactica board game. I saw it coming. I saw the signs. I delivered on that hot journalism, Pat Jarvis. Don't you take my thunder away from me.
I wasn't sure who you were speaking as there. You went from Matt and then you went to you.
Yes, okay. Well, I'll amend the story to say Alex Meehan saw it coming, Unfathomable announced.
Well, no, because like people were doing like whispers of like, oh, apparently the license is, or the license for the game design, which is obviously different from the IP, is being acquired. And I was like, oh, what could that mean? I did the hard-hitting journalism that Jarvis.
Yeah, I think there were some leaks out of playtests as well, right? So it was, but it had a different name at the time. I think it was called SS Atlantica, which ended up being the name of the ship.
Yeah.
And like I say, I think Unfathomable is a great title for a board game. Like it's kind of evocative and interesting, and it doesn't just tie it straight into Arkham Horror, even though it is. So it'd be interesting to see how this does in terms of both the price and the approach. But yeah. The other story I've pulled, which is a smaller one, like I say, it's been a quiet week, but it's just kind of an interesting connection to a video game. Alex Meehan, you wrote the story about the Skyrim board game, which is coming up from Chip Theory Games. Oh no, sorry, this is the Modiphius one, because the Chip Theory Games, there's so many Elder Scrolls games. There's so many versions of Skyrim that I can't even keep track of the board games. This is Modiphius' Skyrim board game, sorry. I think the Chip Theory Games one is just an Elder Scrolls game. Anyway.
It's not just an Elder Scrolls game, Matt. I'm telling you. It's an Elder Scrolls Online game. I'm telling you this now. They haven't confirmed it, but through my shrewd observation and excellent journalism, I'm telling you, it's an Elder Scrolls Online board game. I'm calling it now.
Mark this date.
Yeah, mark this. Yeah, anyway, the court of law.
The Skyrim board game, which is not that game.
No.
Teach some details about it.
Yeah, you can play Skyrim in another way now. If you, just in case you hadn't had enough of a game that is now 10 years old, you can keep getting more Skyrim hits with the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, the board game, a very creative title. There's some more details have been released about it. So it's going to go. It's got a campaign on GameFound that's going to launch this month, maybe. But an update on the page has revealed some new details about it, including the fact that there'll be apparently literally hundreds of hours of gameplay.
That's a lot of hours.
Yeah, this is why I pulled this. Is like it feels it's a very common thing in video games, like as everyone knows, to be like, look how much game there is here. But board games, it's often less of a thing because board games are just like inherently a bit more repeatable. So it's like this is a really good hour or two that you'll then just repeat this hour or two. So like billing this as like hundreds of hours feels like it's not a tactic you often see, but I guess it plays into the Skyrim thing, right?
Yeah.
Like people like Skyrim because they sank so much time into it.
They say it has hundreds of hours of gameplay, but how many of those hours will actually be, enjoyable? That's the question, isn't it, on all of our minds. But yeah, it sounds like a fairly standard, what you'd expect from a Skyrim board game, in the sense that you follow quests. There'll be some side quests.
Quests, you say?
Quests.
And side quests.
I know, it just keeps getting better. There will be 2 campaigns and 3 chapters within those campaigns. You'll be able to play as like different species, like the Khajiit and the Nords and such, and then you can carry different equipment and have different spells, and apparently you will make decisions that will change the face of Skyrim. So you could get a load of I don't know, sweet rolls, and then roll them down a hill, and then maybe people maybe something will happen from that. The consequences of your actions. Who knows?
Fill your house with cheeses.
Yeah, you'll fill your house with so many cheeses that you can't get in the house. I wish you could do that in the game. I don't know whether you can, but
in Skyrim. Yeah, absolutely.
No, I mean
anything.
Board game.
Put your mind to it.
Oh right, yeah.
You can do it in the video game. You can spawn so many cheeses that the game just like crashes, but because it can't load them. But in this game, it sounds like what you'd expect from a Skyrim game. This is being released by Modiphius, who have made like Skyrim, Elder Scrolls, Call to Arms, Fallout, the Fallout miniatures game, the Dishonored role-playing game, and there's going to be a GameFound campaign for it at some point, and then it will come out, and there'll probably be miniatures in it.
All right.
Exciting.
Yeah, I think they've said actually the miniatures from Call to Arms will be compatible with.
Oh, that's
with
something.
it. And so yeah, that's something. Other than that, up on the website, which you can go and check out at Dicebreaker.com, Meehan, you took a look at Ukaturf, the first game from like the Critical Role adjacent studio, Darrington Press. Sounds like it was a bit of a mixed bag. Seems to be the prevailing mood of board games lately. Sounds like it's that's kind of the impression I got from reading your review, but folks can check that in full.
Yeah, love has been put into it, but it's not quite come out the other end in the best state.
Chase, a wonderful news reporter, spoke to Spencer Campbell, who you might remember from Frame, the RPG, which was the Warframe inspired RPG that then got cancelled after a bunch of like harassment from the community. Among kind of more upsetting things, it's that game's now being kind of reborn as Nova, like an RPG inspired by looter shooters like Destiny and hero shooters like Overwatch, which sounds really interesting. So go and check out that interview. I have already mentioned the fact I looked at Soul Raiders and Ticket to Ride, so go and read those. Nevin Holmes, they've rounded up some of the best queer RPGs. Obviously, it's Pride Month.
Stop it! Stop it, Lolies!
Go and check out those over on the website.
Sorry, Matt. Lolies,
I don't know what's going on.
There's a
Lolies is being
person.
very silly and distracting. She's doing things with her mouse cursor. That's
Oh, get it off me.
inappropriate.
But let's roll a little later than expected, as is the way today, into this week's segment. As always, we have a little weekly game or bit of nonsense that we come up with and then go, yeah, that sounds like fun. We'll do that. So this week, chat, we're going to get you involved. Who came up with this idea? Was it?
I think it was
Wheels.
Was it Wills? Does anyone want to explain what it is in the absence of Wills? But all credit to Wills for coming up with the idea.
I'm happy to make a jingle.
Go on then, Lolies.
Sure.
It's a 2-stats RPG game. It's a 2-stats RPG game. It's a 2-stats RPG game. You give us 2 stats and we make a game.
Yeah, that's basically it.
It's beautiful.
So folks might remember RPGs like Lasers and Feelings, which also powers, I think, Boy Problems and stuff like that. I think Lasers and Feelings is by John Harper, actually. It's a very simple role-playing game where you have 2 stats, lasers and feelings. So kind of partially inspired by that, we're after some suggestions for pairs of stats, and we might throw some of our own around as well, that might make a role-playing game. Just give us the 2 stats, and we will improvise what that role-playing game might be. Do we have a name for this segment?
The 2
guess would
stats
be like Honey
RPG
House.
game. I literally sang about it, man. Jeez.
True.
Oh yeah, sorry, no, that was the title. I thought that was just the lead-in.
Well, no, the jingle has got to have the title in
Yeah.
there.
Okay,
Matt.
apologies.
Jesus.
Liv, sorry, you were trying to suggest something before.
I was just saying that another example would be like Honey Heist, where it's like you roll for bear or for spy. What is the other one? I'm not sure. But
Honey, right?
is it honey? I was like, that's it, right? Yeah.
I think the best way to do this is probably, rather than people in chat giving 2 stats, giving just random words, and we'll pair them together, because that's part of the fun.
Sure. All right. Who wants to go first if you've got the chat up?
I've got the chat up, but they're just kind of coming in now.
Yeah.
So.
Send them on in, folks.
I've got one that I can run with while people are sending in some ideas, if you like.
Okay.
Yeah.
From Nevermore, but with E's and O's instead of letters. Flats and heels, which I'm going to take in the way that you don't expect. And I'm going to say it's about wrestling heels who live in various apartments known as flats here in the UK, US listeners. And I think it's about the fact that the wrestlers, they have to practice, right? They've got to get into character. They've got to stay kayfabe before their big match, before the Battle Royale, whatever you want to call it, Royal Rumble, whatever it may be. And I think this block of flats is occupied by heels, and they're trying out their kind of characters in the mirror, but they don't, you've got to try and build up your character without disrupting your neighbors because you're in a block of flats. So if you're going to do something that is more of a domestic task, you roll for flats, and that builds up your goodwill with your neighbors. And then if you're trying to build up your career and your wrestling character, you roll for heels. So for instance, you're living in a flat. Sometimes you might need to hoover the floor or vacuum clean the floor. So you would roll you'd roll flats to see how well you cleaned before someone visits or whatever it may be. And then you go into the bathroom and you're just psyching yourself up and you're kind of, doing your promo to the mirror. And there you've got to roll for heel. And so you've got to progress that way. And the idea is that you need to keep your career as a wrestler going without getting turfed out of your flat.
That's really good.
Because someone's called the landlord and said, "Oi, this wrestler's causing all this disruption."
Funnily, during the real hard lockdown, a friend of mine, her boyfriend's a wrestler, and he because obviously wrestling wasn't really happening at a point, but they wanted to keep wrestling, so they made these videos where they obviously came up with the choreography or whatever before, and then like they each filmed themselves doing the different fight bits, and then they like edited together, so it kind of looked like, you know, like one of them would like hit the other one would like fall down in his shot, and like just loads of stuff like that. Like one of them like stuck the other guy's head in the washing machine, and then like the other guy would come out of the washing machine like with suds all over his head. It was like really like cute and funny, and it was like a fun way for them to like do wrestling, but like separate in separate flats, and they were both in flats doing it as well, which has kind of reminded me, your game reminded me of that, so that's fun.
That's really nice.
There we go. That's Flats and Heels. Thanks, Nevermore.
It's great.
I've got one too, but mine is, I'm gonna put together two separate ones. So there was a suggestion for cat and dog, but and then there was one further down which was introversion. So I'm gonna make this game introversion and dogs. And the whole game is that you want to pet the dogs, but you're very shy and you don't want to approach the pet owners. But obviously, like,
that's my life.
You don't want to like. I feel like it's everyone's life, right? You don't want to like approach the dog owner, but also you don't want to just like pet their dog without asking. So you're always like, essentially, if you're doing like something that's like not introverts, so like you know, approaching somebody to pet their dog, for example, you would roll dog, and then if you, I don't know what the other one would be. If you are in your house,
there's a dog at a party.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really good at, I've never made an RPG before, but you get what I'm trying to say, and that's a good idea.
Yeah.
So we'll just stick with that.
That's great.
If you're trying to select the next thing to watch on Netflix, you roll introversion. Then.
There you go. Yeah, perfect.
There you go.
Thank you, Meehan.
All
right. I've seen one, legs and arms.
Yeah, that was good.
I think what happens in that game is at certain random points during the game itself, you have to roll for legs or arms in order to grow a new leg or a new arm.
Oh, to grow them.
Yeah.
Oh, that's terrifying.
So then you're like, oh no, I'm holding these 2 jars of jam, and I can't like get the spatula out of the bowl. What am I gonna do? Okay, I'm gonna roll arms so I can grow a new arm, and then the arm can get the other spatula out. But then eventually, I imagine towards the end of the game, you just become like a big sort of Cronenberg-esque.
Yeah, what's that D&D monster again? The
Beholder?
No, it's the lion who got like loads of legs.
The roving mauler.
Roving mauler.
Yeah,
yes.
roving mauler.
You look like a roving mauler.
You essentially become a roving mauler. Yeah.
Fantastic.
And then that's the game ends when you grow so many limbs that you basically become like, you become a creature out of the thing.
I like it.
Yeah, great.
And then that's the rest of your existence.
I mean, what I quite like about it as well is that it encourages you almost to get into danger, because at the end of the day, if you lose a limb, you can just potentially grow another
back.
one.
Yeah,
I quite like that. You can really put yourself in some dangerous situations.
There's also the danger of just becoming too many legs and arms.
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
the thing.
Like you have the benefit of the extra limbs.
Eventually, it's going to have to grow out of your
Yeah.
face, and then how are you going to breathe? And
or just grow out, because you don't decide where it comes out of.
no,
Yeah, if your teeth turn into individual limbs.
Terrible.
some of them
Just
are arms
little
and some
hands,
of them
yeah.
are
If you put in food, there's just a lot of little hands just like tearing it apart.
Oh, people to see you like walking around with your mouth and just like lifting yourself.
And it's just like your little you like put something there to eat, and your little hands just like grab them and like push them into your mouth. Just like shove it.
This
Like,
is turning into like
crabs have
pincers. Yeah.
Yeah, like crabs have don't they have those things on either side of their mouths that like pull in?
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah, they got like
hands.
little crab.
Yeah,
arms, right?
it's part of what makes them so gross.
Yeah.
Oh, I like
Please, can
crabs.
somebody draw this? It's horrible.
It's pretty
Alright.
close.
Liv,
What about you, Liv?
Yes.
what have you found?
I was thinking, because earlier on, Rasmus said zoinks, and then later on, I think Truth said spice. And I'm thinking of a Spice Girls and Scooby-Doo crossover
Whoa.
RPG. Yeah, where there's a mystery, obviously, and like it's something that maybe Baby Spice has been kidnapped. I don't know, but I don't know why it's here. But yeah, no,
she's the baby.
She's a baby. She's
You've got to love her. She's the baby. Yeah.
And it's a journey of like the Spice Girls learning how to solve mysteries and the Scooby Gang learning how to spice up their lives.
Yeah. And I can imagine Velma definitely becoming a member of the Spice Girls.
Yeah, absolutely. Velma and Daphne join in for a little bit. It's great. Whenever they have to roll for some mystery solving, it's like, I'm gonna have to get you to roll for zoinks.
And then when they have to roll for some slapping tunes.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be some spice. Yeah.
Someone did put Fred or Shaggy in the chat.
They did, yeah.
Yeah, I was inspired because I was like, when you're doing when you're trying to stay cool and be the straight man, then you have to roll for Fred. And then you're being a hot mess, you have to roll for Shaggy. Yeah.
In Zoinks or Spice, what do you roll when you want to consume a massive tower sandwich?
Yeah, giant.
That's because the thing is, there's probably going to be some spice in there. You would think.
I'm thinking, yeah.
They love that spice in them sandwiches. This is what
At least one of those layers is just Tabasco sauce.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm gonna say that you would roll spice for that, but it's you would get an additional dice for being Shaggy and or Scooby. So what are you holding up, Lolies?
Oh God!
That's
horrible.
My goodness!
God,
the eyes
create
are so
something
bad.
new. You certainly did.
Oh dear!
Yeah, for the listeners, Lolies has drawn a picture of somebody's mouth, and in that mouth are a collection of arms instead of teeth.
Oh, terrible. And I can see that they're wiggling, which I hate. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Should we do one more each very quickly?
Sure, yeah.
If anyone spots one, go.
Right.
I mean, the squid or kid. Are you a squid now? Are you a kid now? You roll for squid when you want to do water-based activities, and then you roll for kid when you want to do land-based activities, which I think will be, maybe we could do a tie-in with Disney for that new film they've got coming out, the animated one. I can't remember what it's called.
Cruella.
No.
That was the secret twist in Cruella.
Yeah, Cruella. There you go.
I've got somebody put in the chat a reference from yesterday, which is Wheels and Squeals, which apparently is mine and Wheels' duo name. So
strong.
Yeah. So if we're a cop duo and we're chasing down a villain or whatever, we'll roll for Wheels because Wheels is driving and also it's a car. If it's Squeals and we're trying to shout someone down, then we'll roll for Squeals. That's it. Wheels and Squeals.
Nice.
I saw one that's ink or incarceration, which is where ink is you work for a board game website where you have to write articles, and you have to roll ink if you want to write, see how good your article is. And incarceration is you just have to roll incarceration every now and again to see if you go to jail for what you've written.
All right, so you've done a thing and they'll sue you for it.
Yeah.
I mean, we have to do all that with that time.
It's just true life ones. My RPG games are very true to real life.
You're a realist RPG creator. From Aya Ryan, Bumble and Grumble I quite like, and I think those are kind of the two fail states, I think, if you roll for either. So if you're trying something physical, you roll, and like there's a chance that like if it's for instance like putting a precious like vase on a pedestal, you have to roll for Bumble, and you might accidentally just like drop it or just like clumsily like place it off to an edge and it falls. But if it's more of a kind of like emotional, you know, it's essentially a lasers and feelings hack at some point.
I was thinking it was going to be like a dating RPG because it's like Bumble, which is a dating app, and then you
that's good.
grumble when you're.
But inevitably, it's disappointing, right?
Yes, you're grumbling.
Bumble or Grumble, so yeah, it could be a dating show, like Dating in the Dark.
Grumbling in the dark.
That sounds like something else entirely.
First edition or second edition can be like where you roll first edition if you want to see if you're right about something, or you roll second edition if you have a bad. I'm gonna stop.
Anyway, this was a fun segment. Thanks everyone for your suggestions. There was some really good ones.
Everyone.
We're running a little short, but we appreciate them all. That was good fun. And I think
So tired.
Someone in the chat says bacon. Sorry, Rasmus says pizza or cake would be quite nice. Rasmus, you're right. But
or Millhouse or Frill House.
Millhouse or Frill House. That's another dating one. Yeah.
Yeah. But you're playing as Millhouse's dad. Yeah, because he canonically has some dating problems because he does that. He does that album. Can I borrow a feeling?
Oh, of course he does.
Yeah. There you go.
Classic.
Yeah.
What's his name? Never mind.
Kurt.
Oh, Kirk. Yeah, Kirk. I don't know why I said Martin. Martin Millhouse.
You say
Is that your OC, Matt, in Simpsons?
Oh, for some you said the OC, and I was like, I've never watched the OC. I don't know if Martin Millhouse is a character in the OC, but I can only assume.
It's a hot mess.
So that's Matt's OC in The Simpsons.
Yeah, look forward to my Simpsons RPG.
Yeah.
That's about all we have time for that segment, and all we have time for this week's Dicebreaker podcast, because we started a little late and we overran a little. Who would have thunk it? But thank you all for listening. Thank you for being here, Liv.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us, Lolies.
Thanks for having me again.
Thank you, Meehan.
Hooked on a feeling.
That's a great song. Sorry.
I've been Matt Jarvis. As usual, you can catch us on youtube.com/Dicebreaker. The podcast is now live every Friday, 2 p.m. BST, or thereabouts as it was today. Or you can find the audio on things like iTunes and Spotify or the RSS feed. So go on, head over, and you can find everything else we do on dicebreaker.com. So until we return next Friday for another episode of the Dicebreaker podcast, thank you for joining me. Thank you all for watching. Have a lovely weekend and have a lovely day.
Bye.
Bye.